The Magnaflow SPEQ series dual exhaust is perfect for the hurricane-powered Ram 1500 owner who wants to add a bit more spice to their daily driver. This system gives you more sound and performance in a way that gives you more of that turboed straight six goodness without making it totally obnoxious. Accordingly, we're going to give this one a 3 out of 5 on our loudness meter. It really strikes an excellent balance between giving your truck some more character and ensuring that it will still be pleasant to live with every day. Now, a quick note on fitment here before we dive in. This system is designed to fit 2025 and newer Ram 1500s powered by the 3-liter Hurricane Inline 6. However, it is not compatible with RHO models. All right, let's address the elephant in the room. The Hurricane engine, despite all its great attributes, will never sound like a Hemi. However, the sound this does make is pretty darn cool. As you heard from the clips at the beginning of the video, this system gives you quite a bit more volume versus the nearly silent factory exhaust. You get a deep, smooth tone that builds volume as the revs climb, and it manifests in a race car-like wail close to the redline. It's a great sound, and it's even pretty quiet at idle and low speeds, so your neighbors won't get all ticked off when you start it up on a cold morning. Inside the cabin, it's also pretty subdued. You get a nice bit of rumble, but you'll still easily be able to hold a conversation or listen to a podcast without having to blow out your voice or your speakers. And there's no drone with this system either, and that is all thanks to this muffler and resonator setup that I have right in front of me. Now, this might look a little strange, but this appendage here is called a Helmholtz resonator, commonly known as a J-pipe. The idea is that this is placed in such a way that it allows some of the sound waves to enter as the exhaust flows through. It bounces around inside this little resonator here and then rejoins the rest of the system completely in phase with the other sound waves. So it's eliminating dissonant frequencies and addressing the root cause of drone. Everything then passes through this straight-through canister-style muffler with a perforated core before hitting the Y-pipe and heading out to the tips. The combination of the J-pipe with the muffler gives you excellent exhaust gas flow with a lot less restriction than your factory setup. And that's very important for a turbocharged engine because that also means less back pressure on the turbos themselves, so you'll get some more power and better response. Now, the whole thing is capped off with these black overaxle pipes and huge 5-inch black tips that exit in the stock location directly out under the rear bumper. Now, that black finish is going to give you a bit more protection for the piping and the tips, and it gives this a bit more of a subtle look. However, we are still talking about some huge 5-inch tips here, so those in the know will be able to pick up on it right away. But especially if your truck has the night package or you're going for that blacked out look, this black finish on the tips and the rest of the piping is going to keep that theme going, and it still gives your truck a nice visual update. The piping here is all 2.5-inch mandrel bent 409 grade tubing all the way back. The overaxle pipes and the tips again are finished in that high temp black coating for some additional protection against rust and corrosion, and of course for good looks too. The tips, however, are made from T304 stainless, so between that material and the coating, these should look great for a long time. Now, Magnaflow also made this system using extensive 3D scans and CNC robotic machining techniques to ensure a perfect fit, and this is a totally bolt-on system too, but we'll talk more about that momentarily. Pricing comes in at about $1,800, and while that is a good chunk of money, it's pretty much in line with other catback exhausts for these trucks. It delivers a great sound and really solid build quality, so there's a lot to like about this system. And if you want that additional sound and solid construction without compromise, this is going to be a great choice. Just save a few extra pennies for it. Installation gets a 2 out of 3 on our difficulty meter, and the job should take you around 2 hours to complete. Like I mentioned a few moments ago, everything is designed to bolt right on, and you won't need to make any permanent modifications to your truck. So this is a very straightforward job, and it uses all your factory exhaust hanger locations. Definitely one you can tackle at home. Plus, we're going to walk you through the entire process step by step right now, so for that, let's head on out to the shop and get to it.
Tools required for this install include an impact gun, ratchet, a rubber mallet, exhaust hanger remover tool, 18mm wrench, an extension, 13 and 15mm sockets, 16mm swivel socket, a swivel adapter, and a pry bar. Today we're installing an exhaust on our Ram. First, we're going to watch a quick uninstall video showing you how to remove your factory exhaust. Now, this was shot on a different Ram, but it's the exact same removal procedure. So we'll go do that, and then we'll meet you back here for the install.
First step here, we're going to grab our hanger removal tool and pop the hanger off right above our resonator on our passenger side tailpipe. The driver's side tailpipe is one piece all the way back to the muffler inlet, so we're going to attack that later. So for right now, we're going to do this, and I've lubricated it with WD-40. That makes life a little bit easier. All right, next step, grab your ratchet and your 15mm deep socket, and we're gonna loosen up the clamp holding the tailpipe to the rest of the exhaust assembly. All right, hanger's out of position, clamp is loosened up. Let's get this exhaust pipe off. All right, so at this point, we're gonna focus on our driver's side tailpipe. Now, like I said, it's all one piece. I have a pull jack here right behind the resonator just to give it some support once we start disconnecting things. I am gonna remove this tip, however. Removing this tip gives you another foot, maybe foot and a few inches of extra space that you don't have to worry about feeding out of the frame. So we're gonna take this guy off with a 13mm socket. Next, we can pop the hanger out of the isolator using our hanger removal tool right above that resonator. All right, so now we can disconnect the hangers right above the muffler outlet. There's one on each side. Grab your hanger removal tool and get these guys off. Now, as you can see, I have a pull jack here supporting this as well. So we have two different points of support for this exhaust. Now for this one, it's tough to get the hanger removal tool in here, so I'm gonna use my pry bar to get this guy off. All right, so next up, we're gonna focus on this flange here. Now you could bypass this and go straight back to the cat, but that's a lot of exhaust to take off in one piece, so I'm gonna separate it here. Now, once we have this taken care of, there is one more hanger to remove, but for now, grab your 16mm socket and disconnect these two bolts. All right, now when you pop this guy out of the hanger isolator, this is all gonna come loose, so you wanna be prepared for that. Before we do so, there's a ground strap here. I'm just gonna disconnect that from the factory tubing. All right, so that way it dangles here and we can reconnect it to our new exhaust later. So now we can grab our hanger removal tool and pop that guy off. All right, now you can take this exhaust off.
So now the first thing we're going to do is raise our muffler pipe up into place. We're going to be going into this isolator as well as the two kind of right over the axle. Now you're going to want to reuse your gasket. This is just going to clip right around the flange. So just get that clipped on there, and then we'll raise this up into place and get it into our isolators. So now we just need to push these rods all the way into the isolators. You can use a little bit of penetrating fluid or grease to help you out with this. These isolators are pretty stiff. Now once you have all those in place, we can start installing our bolts. So now we're just going to line up our flange. We've got new bolts included in the kit. So I'm taking a bolt, lock washer, and flat washer through one side. Line it up and get it through that gasket. Kind of just threading it through the gasket here until I have enough to get my nut on the other side. I'm going to do the same thing on the bottom. And then I'm going to take a 16mm swivel socket and an 18mm wrench, and I'm just going to go back and forth and tighten the flange down evenly. So next I'm gonna get my over axle pipes just loosely in place. I'm gonna take a clamp, slide it over, and then we're going through this small gap up here, and then connecting to our muffler pipe. And then I'm gonna do the same thing for our passenger, or for our driver side one. You wanna go over that wire harness and breather hose. Slide that all the way onto your muffler pipe. We'll leave these loose for now until we get our tailpipes in the hangers, and then we'll come back and tighten everything down. Next, I'm going to install my passenger side tailpipe. So I'm going to slip another clamp on there. I'm going to get this lined up and get my rod pushed into my isolator. And I'm just going to maneuver this around so I can meet my tailpipe up to my over axle pipe and fully get my pipe in my isolator. And then we'll do the driver's side and then come back and tighten everything down. So now same thing on this side, throw your clamp on. And then we're gonna get this into our isolator first. And now we just need to connect our two pipes together. So I'm gonna push the tailpipe back as far as I can. Connect my pipes together, and then wiggle that tailpipe all the way on. And now we can go back to the muffler, start tightening everything down. So now we're gonna start at our muffler, tighten down our over axle pipes. Now our tips are perfectly aligned in their holes. If not, you can twist a little bit to get it to line up perfectly. And then we're just gonna grab a 15mm socket and get the clamp right on the edge of that pipe and tighten it down. Now I'll get my passenger side tailpipe. Same thing, 15mm socket on the clamp. And now we'll get the last one on the driver's side. We're in a little bit of a tighter spot, so I'm throwing a swivel adapter onto my 15mm socket. So that'll wrap up this review and install of the Magnaflow SPEQ Series black dual exhaust system with black tips, rear exit for your 2025 and newer 3-liter Ram 1500, excluding RHO. Thank you for watching. For all things Ram, keep it right here at AmericanTrucks.com.